Our economy has been warped and twisted, wrenched from our grasp, and now we find ourselves in a position that is precipitous and perilous. Taxes on work are at a precipice that overlooks the padded cushions surrounding wealth earnings. Dormant wealth remains shockingly vituperative and remains gilded within bloodlines and lineage. We are seeing the renaissance of the aristocracy and the burning destruction of meritocracy. How can we chart a new way forward when the forces that so fiercely clutch the leash of our future show no signs of relenting, nor of endowing us with mercy or respite? This is Mission Underground. The scale of class divisions in Britain have long been evident and expansive. They leech on the aspirations of many, whilst fueling the progress of the stagnant. But who are the stagnant? It is they whom many so erroneously believe to be of superior intellect, a higher standing in some regard. That is not true. It is a myth that is perpetuated to justify their elite position as a step on the ladder of meritocracy. In fact, and this is true for almost all upper class people, in fact all of them, no matter how hard they have worked, their success will always be tainted and marked by the hand of their privilege. The wealthy own homes, they have investments, they spend generously in lives of opulence. The wealth that leeches and destroys societies, however, is not the wealth of professionals, not the middle classes, the doctors, the lawyers, the managers. No, it is the wealth of millionaires and billionaires, asset-rich, investment-heavy, building for themselves a new societal elite, an inheritocracy. How is our society one of justice if the wealth of these people, so obscene and so vast, is taxed less than the family with a lawyer father and 2 children, struggling to meet ends meet, crushed under the heel of marginal tax rates and childcare threshold barriers that squeeze the middle class? We have to overhaul these systems. We have to overhaul our income tax thresholds, reform childcare. We have to remove the personal allowance withdrawal penalty that strikes our middle classes continuously. We have to boost the personal allowance to support our working classes. Then, we have to shift this burden onto the wealthy. Increase capital gains tax, reform property taxation. Without this, the assets, the houses, the dormant wealth will never redistribute across our society, remaining locked within the coffin of the new aristocracy. I know inheritance tax is unfair, but it is a moral necessity and an economic imperative. There is a risk of a lock-in effect from capital gains increases, but research from Syntax shows that this effect is manageable and insignificant if done correctly. This is something that is necessary and possible. Why should wealth be taxed less than work? Why is society being inevitably drawn and forced to returning to a Victorian distinction between an elite aristocracy and a class of common labourers? We don't have to do this. We can make our society more fair, more equal. We can tax SMEs less and big corporations more. We can cut taxes for working people and tax dormant wealth instead. We can change our destiny and our path. We can reform council tax and stamp duty. We do not have to be locked into the narrative of impending doom and fiscal catastrophe without balanced books and austerity, tax rises, the continual loop that is fed to us repeatedly through media. At the same time, we must also recognize that tax is not a one-dimensional tool. Primarily, as the economist Richard Murphy noted, tax is a tool to shape behavior. We need to tax enough that assets are sold and freed up, improving access for working people, opening up our society from the cage of aristocracy. This will herald a new economic age. But this new economic age will largely be influenced by AI. This is a technological change that we must grasp. Technological change has been crucial for explosions in economic well-being and living standards throughout history, much more significant than physical capital and infrastructure. As such, we must invest, both as businesses and as government, and banish the scourge of capital fundamentalism that has plagued us for decades, the apotheosis of which still haunts the North and Midlands today. The best way to shape our economic future will be to invest in human capital, engage in deep reform of tax and spending, entertain new economic ideas, and harness the next technological revolution for public good rather than private enrichment. As Solo and Swan so poignantly noted, we must improve productivity, the underlying malaise of Britain's economic slump. We cannot let big tech, economic orthodoxy, and the emerging aristocracy steal from us a generation of progress. Our future depends on it, and we must take charge of this future.